Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue our actor spotlight for Dev Patel with The Green Knight. It was released on July 30th, 2021. It was written for the screen by David Lowery, based on a poem by an anonymous writer, the
Hmm.
Gawain, the Gawain poet. And directed by David Lowery. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up? What up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Sorry, I needed to reset my brain
Mm.
when remembering how to pronounce Gawain.
Gawain?
Gawain,
Is it Gawain?
Gawain.
Gawain? Not Gawain. Yeah, spelled Gawain, but I think
It's never pronounced that
yeah,
way.
Gawain.
It would have felt wrong if
Mm.
they were like Gawain. I'd have
Yeah.
been like, oh, that's not.
So you
Oh
did
wait,
bring up about like this King Arthur and King. I don't know a lot of
Camelot.
yeah, and I don't know like any of this. Is he in this story at all, or is this like a new like
Gawain
kind of
is a character within the Arthurian legend and
okay?
lore. He is the king's nephew, King Arthur's nephew.
Okay.
They got that accurately. The thing that this movie changes from the poem, I mean, it takes a lot of liberties, um, but it the key factor is that Gawain is already a knight in the poem. He is
Mm.
Sir Gawain. Um, so it kind of makes his drive in this movie a little bit more external instead of it being this vague sense of just honor and just chivalry
Hmm.
that he is trying to achieve.
Wow.
It literally gives him a name that he's aspiring to. He is
Okay.
trying to become Sir Gawain instead of you know
And
achieving the
the
virtue that comes with being Sir Gawain.
I guess this poem by an anonymous, this is
Gawain poet.
like it is I guess that I don't know. I guess I'm not in the know of all of this, which is I guess I've heard like is this the Excalibur, like the sword
Yeah,
that's stuck in
Arthur pulled
stone?
Excalibur. Like they mentioned that at the
Like
beginning of the movie.
yeah, yeah. So I guess I've
It's
I've
not the
heard.
story of the boy who pulled sword
Mhm.
from stone, but,
Yeah.
and that automatically sets him up to be less than also,
Mhm.
this is not that guy.
Yeah.
This
So I guess
you
I've
know
heard some of the
Yeah,
story.
and that's the
Um,
thing is that it's not like the modern idea of what a mythology is that it was all crafted by, like, the same entity, that came up with all
yeah.
aspects of it. No, not how
Okay.
Arthurian legend works. Written by several people across decades and even
Mm.
centuries of just, contributing towards this
Oh,
idea,
that's cool. That's
time
actually really
period.
cool. Hmm.
Yes, no, it's no one thing, it's not like George Lucas created Star Wars. There is a, initial entry. I'm sure I don't know much about
Mhm.
Arthurian legend myself, but beyond the basics like you
Okay.
just laid out. But I did some semi-extensive research last night in between my two
Mm.
viewings. Because goddamn, man, this is a fucking movie right here. I
Whoa.
loved it. I
Yeah.
love the
Whoa.
Green Knight is fucking special, man. How are you feeling about let's talk Dev Patel specifically. It's how we
Yeah.
tend to start.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh this
it's
is
all in anticipation for Monkey Man, and like I was already excited. I was already like in. Like Dev was showing me who he is, and like I was already there. In this one, I guess I've seen like the before this movie I saw one shot, and I think it was the opening shot, just to his head on fire and
yeah.
him looking all kingly. And but it was just on like TikTok or something, and it was like I was like, "Whoa, what movie is this?" And then we do the spotlight, and I'm like, "Ah, 'tis the Green Knight." And I'm like, "Okay." So
Yep.
that's all I knew. And but no, he just kind of has only gotten better and better and better as time has gone on. And this
Yeah.
one was no exception. Yeah, it this is his best movie on the spotlight so far. I'm
I'd say his best movie, period.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. This is incredible. I don't know. It was I don't know if Monkey Man can do it. I'd invite it. I'd gladly invite it. But before this point, I thought Monkey Man was going to be the number one easily.
mm,
Now I don't know.
Now it's got a challenge. Now it's
Yeah.
got a challenge.
Yeah.
I get that. And I'm with it. You know, I like I like what Dev Patel brought to the table in this one. What I love about the idea of Monkey Man is how personal it is. It is written, it is directed, it is led by Dev Patel. So while this movie might be all around a good fucking movie with Dev Patel at its center, that movie is going to be Dev Patel through and through. So it's going to be a different kind of special, I think, and it'll be interesting to see how they sort of compare, because you're right. These are going to be, I have faith, and I shouldn't go in thinking Monkey Man's going to be the best of his filmography, but he just has such a inventive, creative spirit. He's got such passion behind it. His press tour and the lead up to it has been so invigorating. It's made me even more excited. So like, I anticipate that this man is bringing the heat with Monkey Man. But like you said, it's going to be tough to beat this one, especially his performance in it. He goes through such a hero's journey. It's really fascinating to be a, fuck up of a character and to continuously think of yourself as more than, but also recognize that you are less than what you're supposed to be. There's such a conflict
Yes.
in the character of Gawain that he brings to the table that's so fucking fascinating. He manages to pull off this bravado that makes him feel like he's self-assured, but there are certain things that he's faced with when he recognizes, oh, I'm not the knight or the nobleman I'm supposed to be. And I think Dev Patel is to be owed the credit for that deeply, in the performance and the dissonance that Gawain experiences, because god damn is Dev good. I love
Well,
Dev Patel.
in it, I love just all the back and forth that there is. Like the first time, I did watch this movie twice. The only on the spotlight for me to do that. I guess I started it last night. I knew I wouldn't be able to finish it without being fully aware and awake and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it the justice. I'm gonna find a good stopping point, and then I'm gonna continue tomorrow. And I did that, and then I finished it, and I'm like, okay, I need to watch this again, and I have the perfect amount of time to do so.
Mm.
So I did. And the second watch, it reminded me of The Killer. Was like the movie that like it reminded me of, and very different movies. But the first time I watched The Killer, I was sort of like rooting for him, or like not thinking of him as like the fuck up that he is. And I got the sense that, Dev or, Gawain was a fuck up. I got that sense on the first watch more than I did on The Killer. But the second watch, it was just abundantly clear. Like, it was like he is failing at every single
Oh yeah.
step along the way. Like, I don't know. And that's the
And then
point, sort of.
there's this fascinating dissonance between modern sensibility and the idea of what Arthurian legend is supposed to be. The ending where the main character dies is typically not the happy one.
Mm, mm-mm.
That
No.
is the happy ending in this one, is that he is
And
and
then
that is a
and the question
fascinating place
is,
to reach.
does he
Uh,
actually die? Or is this the final, even with all of his failures, he did fail every step along the way. He probably deserves to die here if that's the game, like he failed the game horribly. But in this last moment, he recognizes all of that. He's like, if I do continue, this is the life that I will bring. As the life I've been living, if I continue, in my current path, this is what I will bring forth. And then he's like, okay, you know what? Yes, I do deserve to die. If that is truly what I will become, yes, kill me. And because the line delivery, it's sort of, there's there's some
no, it's certainly purposely
something there.
ambiguous.
Yeah, there's something like whether, kind of like that Jack and Hagar moment, grinning at Arya leaving sort of, sort of thing it reminded me of, or like now his training is complete. That moment of realization is the training. It just took him failing at every point to get there. It wasn't the way that you would want the training to go, but at least he still got to the crux and the most important lesson to learn, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I think that that's fair, but I think that there's a interesting idea that even if he had every single test,
Mhm.
he still would have died. I don't think it matters what's
Oh,
deserving or not. It's completing the game. The agreement that he set out to from the get-go
honor.
is that you will return the blow which
Okay.
I deal unto you.
S
Now he's accepting that what he did at the beginning of the movie is dishonorable. I should not have done that, and therein it is what
Mm.
I deserve in return. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that
so
first
I tend
trial
to look at it as
was the
oh,
most
I mean, like,
important,
that's when
like
I'm looking at the movie going, "Oh, we're about to fucking eat."
mm,
Um, when
when
we when he walks into the fucking throne room,
oh,
um,
oh, yeah, dude,
or
that
the round table.
wow. Yes, like, oh, was this I don't know. A combination of so many things into one, and maybe this is why just kind of, like, Arthurian legend is sort of I don't know, it's new to me, and, like, I don't know, this is kind of my first in
Mhm,
on it, but what I can kind of grasp from it is that it's just a story that's been told over generations and generations. It's a hero's story, and but this sort of seems like a side story of it. Like King Arthur
yes,
is
yes.
the main
Yeah, the King
character
Arthur story
usually.
is typically the
Okay,
main story told.
okay.
This is definitely not like, main mythology.
Mhm.
This is something you would no, I mean, like, and this specific version of it is taking I mean, but that's kind of the point of Arthurian legend is that you
Mhm.
are able to tell the story however you wish to tell it, which I think is kind of what the title cards are emulating at the beginning of the movie when it
Mm.
flashes through all the different Sir Gawain, Sir Gawain, Sir
Yeah.
Gawain, all the different fonts, all the different versions. It's
Mhm.
because there is no one way to tell the story. This is the way that they
Oh.
are telling the story.
Wow.
Uh,
God damn. Yeah, this I mean, that's why I'm so excited to see Monkey Man is because he's so like, just to be in this movie and to be, like, a part of it, and he's not the full creative source of it, he's just the
mhm,
an actor here, and then to see what he can do fully on his own after having a like, after having a little bit of Wes Anderson, after having this,
mhm,
he's got the combination, he's got
dude.
everything that you need, but no, this I don't know, I'm very I can't believe, I guess I've never been not introduced, but, like, I haven't found my way into Arthurian
Ignorant.
legend before. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, it
yeah.
because this is so timeless, I feel like. I feel like it's you can reach it at there's so many sources that you
No,
can
yeah, and
get
it's I
into
mean,
it,
like,
but
it speaks to Star Wars to a degree, the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell sort of stuff, like, that is kind of
mm,
what it's getting at the heart of, you know? I think that there's a lot to like here, and there's a huge inspiration for this movie from Ron Howard's Willow, which I absolutely adore. We've talked about that several times.
mhm,
David Lowery actually had the idea for this movie, or the idea that he wanted to make a movie like this while building a Willow diorama in his backyard with Willow action figures. Which is super cool. There's even a little homage in the middle of the movie where there's a skeleton in a like a chained um cage hanging from
hmm.
the there's that's how you're introduced to Val Kilmer's Mad Mardigan in Willow, is
Oh,
that
like,
he's
on the
and he's like
crossroad when he's riding his horse and he
yes,
knows where to go,
yes.
that right there? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm,
Yeah, so, like, that's a little homage within the movie to Willow itself,
that's cool.
and then another cool connection is that Ralph Ineson, the actor who plays the Green Knight, and Aaron Kellyman, the actress who plays Winifred, both go on to be in the Willow television series, which you cannot watch anymore, which fucking blows unless you pirate the high seas of Idiocy. Um,
Yeah, for legal reasons, I would never partake in such a thing,
yeah, never, never.
um, but no, this I'm glad this one's at least still available, but I don't know, it was, at least the streaming version was still very beautiful. Like, oh my god,
Mm.
is this how much of it is practical? Like, obviously, like, some of these castles aren't, you know
No, 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 no.
yeah, they aren't
There's a
real,
lot of
but
visual effects
But
coming into play here.
wow, did it
Um,
look like they I don't know, like, some of these castles looked so good. Like, I mean,
mm.
I guess it was what, this is 2021, okay, so yeah, we're
No,
just
I mean, like,
maybe we're
it was
there.
filmed in Ireland,
Mhm.
mostly. and there are a few castles in this
Oh.
movie that exist that are real castles. Like
Mhm.
they are out there. Like the spiral building that his mother goes up into and conducts the spell that creates the Green Knight, seemingly,
Mhm.
or brings about the Green Knight, like calls to him at least if he didn't already exist. It's hard to tell,
Yeah.
whichever way.
Mhm.
But that building she's climbing up to go into is a real building. That is a
Mm.
real castle that is in Ireland. So like
Wow.
there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I would be fascinated to learn about, because this is a beautifully gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to learn that, like, when I saw that this was filmed in Ireland, I'm just like, God damn, Ireland's beautiful,
Game
dude.
of
Like
Thrones has to,
Game of
like
Thrones.
every
I mean, like, you haven't
yeah.
watched Banshees of Inisherin yet, but that is a
Mm.
gorgeous movie.
Seems,
And
yeah,
I
if you
mean,
ever need a place on Earth where you need lush green or
mm,
oceans as well, you got the
Philly,
ocean, you got the green, you got the mountainside, you got anything you kind of need in
mm,
Ireland. So maybe that is it. But the like landscape shots, I loved whenever they just stuck the camera on Dev
mm.
just for like a minute straight. Literally, they're like, "All right, here you go." It maybe maybe it was like a transition, like there was like a title card, and then it was just here's him traveling or whatever.
That's
But
one of my favorite things about the movie, though, is that
oh
they just let you sit with
God,
Gawain in his moments where he is in between things,
yeah,
like when he is just traversing, when he is just traveling, they let you sit in that. And I think it's a wonderful choice.
mhm.
It causes gorgeous imagery, like that overhead shot where he's wading through like knee-high water.
Oh
Um
my God,
and
yeah.
it's straight above him, and it's like it's fucking beautiful.
Hmm.
I absolutely adore
The
it.
Whenever he's first setting off to leave, it was the shot I put in first initially on my first watch, and it's whenever there's kids behind him chasing him, like, "Ah, go, we have a sword for you," or whatever, like, and he's just paying them no attention
Mm.
whatsoever. He's just riding on his way, um, but it just sticks on him for a solid minute there, just following him. No, the kids eventually they give up, and then it's just him riding, and I mean, and then eventually it pans over and shows him and the mountainside like along, and I was just like, oh my God, like wow, what a thank you. I was like, thank you for
Mm.
not deciding just to, I don't know, stick the camera back wide and I don't know, show it more. Like that was just, it was very visually
Gorgeous
impressive.
choice, gorgeous choice.
And
No,
then
I mean, like,
but then I watched it
it's
on the second watch. I didn't notice those kids in the first place, really, or like the meaning of the kids. And then I'm like watching the second time, I'm like, oh my God, like this dude's kind of like, this dude's what the fuck? Like you are failing so hard, dude. Even right here, like just give them something. I don't know
take the
anything,
sword.
man. Literally, like I don't
Yeah.
anything. Like just acknowledge them even in the first place, and like so
Mhm.
that it like got me to realize like even like just the change from first to second watch. But um
No, yeah,
yeah.
it's fascinating to watch because, like, you anticipate that in an epic fantasy film, the character you're following is a hero, and that is
Mhm.
who they are. And I think that this is a fascinating take on a hero. It's a much more relatable story to be this failure to launch, stuck in his way, can't get his ass off the ground,
Mhm.
just trying to let the days kind of waste away, like they tell the queen and king whenever they're like, I think it's the queen specifically, Lysa Arryn, who
Mhm.
tells him, don't take your seat along these nights idly, you know, do something.
Mhm.
Basic. She's like, don't just end up here. Go and
Yeah,
fucking.
like, you don't have any stories yet,
Mhm,
that's the point, yet. Go do have your stories, you have to
mhm.
you don't just sit around and have a story come out of nowhere, you gotta actually do something, to get there, and yeah, that was she's the one to, like, in the background be like, "Have courage," or like she's the one that's, like, really rooting for him, it
Mhm.
seems like, and that's the thing is, like, how much is, like, the mother like, that I'm trying to like, she's obviously has a control over a lot of things,
Oh
she's,
yeah, yeah.
but, like, how often, like, are the king and queen completely just puppets for the mother, or
No,
like are they
no.
eventually
Um,
themselves too? Like, like
I think I'm of the mind that they're in on it. I don't think that they I don't think that
oh.
they necessarily know exactly the extent to which his sister is willing to go to, get him off his, but remember when he like whispers in his ear, he's like, "Remember, it's just a game."
That's
Like
true.
it's
He does
there's
say
a little
that.
bit of a
Yeah.
knowing, like, I know
Okay.
something's happening sort of thing. Um, so
Hmm.
I'm of the mind that there is a,
Hmm.
and that's vague too.
It felt
I
the
think
mother
a
was
lot
going
I
behind
love
their backs though. I don't like it felt she because like wasn't she saying like literally saying his words at one point like I don't know. Like I guess maybe that just shows that they were orchestrating it together maybe sort of thing instead of her literally
that's a
controlling
good
him.
point.
So, I don't know, but
That is
you might
also
be
a way to
right
look at
though.
it.
I guess it felt like there was just some witchcraft magic, something going on, and she
Mm,
either births or summons the Green Knight, however the fuck that happens, and
yeah.
like there's obviously some magic going on, but it felt that there was some genuineness behind the king and queen, like they weren't
Oh, yeah.
purely puppets, that they, um, I guess yeah, I do kind of like that they were in on it as well.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't think that they like, because the other thing that is damning is that I don't think there's animosity or like a like from the mother. I don't think the mom is trying to get her son killed.
no.
I don't think that that's the case at all.
Mm-mm.
Um, he gets himself killed when he decides to chop off the head of an unarmed opponent.
Yeah.
That is a challenge that the Green Knight presents, and
Mhm.
he's supposed to deny it and deal unto him what he would have done unto himself, which
That's
is
the part
likely.
that, like, I remember on first watch, like, I heard that part of, like, him like, his whole deal, and I'm like, "I don't think you're really wait," like, that's kind of the most important part of the whole thing, and you're not really thinking about that, like, does he
Well, and
just
that's
maybe he just
again
thinks
the
he'd be
king.
dead, so he wouldn't be able to kill him, obviously,
Yeah,
whatever,
that's
but,
part
like,
of it. But
eh eh, I don't know, it's like if it's like, just do a little soup, do, like, just I don't know, like, like, if that's the whole game and
mhm.
he's doing I don't know, like, what I guess what is the correct move here? Is it to lay down your weapon as well? Is it to not literally do nothing, or is it to just give him the smallest little nick like, do
Probably the smallest
you
nick
have
is
to
what I
injure
would.
him in some way, right? Like, that's the
I'm
whole
assuming
game
so.
is that
That is the game.
there
Uh,
has to be some blow
Strike
done.
me and I will return the strike, like that is. So, there's also that moment when the king asks him when he volunteers, he's like, "Do you understand the game?"
Uh, and he's
And
like,
he's
"I
like,
think so."
"I
Yeah,
think I
he's
do."
like, "Yeah, I guess he's not even." Yeah, he's still not sure. Yeah, I get
And he's
like,
like, "Yeah, sure, go for it then." I think that the
mm,
king is genuinely like, don't, like, the game is a game of honor. Like, you are supposed to uphold, so like he lays down his weapon, and automatically when that happens, you are to not kill him,
mm,
or
yeah,
try to kill him. That is the
yeah. I think what he did at first, the kind of like, ooh, kind of like make a move at first, just to see if he goes for his weapon. If it is like a trick. That's what I would do. I would see if it is a
yeah.
trick at first to see if he is still intending to kill me. But then once it is fully, it's like done. I feel like I guess if a strike has to be made, that's one thing. But like if he just lay down his weapon, that like I think that's the move. You lay down your
Mhm.
weapon and see. I don't know, or is that just an infinite standoff? Are you there forever? There.
Yeah, well, because that's the other thing, is that it is the Christmas game, that it is, he thinks he has the shortcut to greatness. He thinks that line you went with, that I
Mm-hmm.
almost,
Mm,
why greatness? Why is goodness not enough? You know,
yeah,
he
that's
he calls to the people. Remember what happened this day. Remember this, what happened on this Christmas day, and cuts off his head. He's like, this is my shortcut to glory. All of a sudden, I'm taking my place at this
yeah.
round table, not idly.
Mm,
I've done something worthy of their attention, worthy of them,
Wow.
at least in his head. But what he doesn't realize is it's the opposite. It is not worthy of this table. It is not worthy of them. I remember even watching it on the first watch, also kind of in that place where you're going, you still anticipate that he is supposed to be like right and good, and you
Mhm.
think that he is the good guy, or he's not a bad guy by any stretch. I don't want to
Yeah,
say,
because
but he's
everyone's cheering there. Like,
Mhm.
the gallery
Exactly.
is
Like,
cheering,
I
and
remember being kind of like, oh, okay, yeah,
but
I wouldn't have thought that was a good thing.
yeah, King Arthur's like, he's taking his sword back very like, wow. Like, he's very like, they're disappointed clearly. His mother, she's apart, away, but that's whenever she takes her blindfold off and drops to her knees. She's like, "What the fuck?"
Mhm.
Like she's like, "Holy shit, how could you have failed this so hard?" And but you know, the music, like the moment visually, it appears as if he did the right thing, but the audio, the music that is playing in this, and Dev's performance, and the people who actually know him, the way they're reacting, all point to failure. Like all point to uncomfortable disappointment, like very
Mm.
wrong, and I don't, that's why the visual language of the movie is incredible. Like
Mm.
it it doesn't hold your hand. There's not a lot of exposition. There is not, like the only exposition is kind of his deal. Is like, here's my fucking deal, and then the rest of the movie is just, I don't, like, lessons, like lessons that he literally goes through, and that is not just being told to him. So
Mm.
like, and I don't know. That's
No,
why I
it
think.
is absolutely for you to discern as well. There are, and I like, because I texted you after the first viewing I had
Mm-hmm.
and was like, we're gonna need to talk through that,
Yeah.
like because you go in thinking a certain way, like it is just the setting. You're following a protagonist, it's fantasy, it's all this, like you're like, so whenever we get to that ending and it's all crumbling and it's all falling apart,
Mm.
I'm like, fuck,
I was like, this
god damn.
sucks. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is
I was too.
tragic. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is like, and I get it. I'm like, I get why it's all bad. Like it's a shitty ending, but that's the point. And then when it was brought back, I was like, thank fucking God. I'm like, because I thought, like, I didn't think that, I thought he actually ran away, and this was like actually the events
Yeah.
that were occurring.
Oh
And
yeah, I
then,
did too.
and when it cut back, I was like, thank fucking God. I'm like, this, I love
Yeah,
this
no,
ending
like you
now.
get,
I'm like,
and it also lets you know how much you actually cared about Gawain.
mm,
Like how you actually wanted him to succeed,
yeah.
wanted to see him do the right thing. And when you watch him run away, when he goes, wait, 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 I can't do this, I can't do this, you go, like
Dude.
and you,
Yeah.
like,
It's like I never really want I don't wish for someone to die, but like this is like, dude, like he's failed everything before this. I'm like, take, at least do this right. I'm like, man, like,
Mhm.
holy fuck. And yeah, like every time it's just like, wow, yeah, this, like, I
That's
guess.
why my favorite line comes from that scene right before we go into that flashback, right before he runs away. Whenever he's like, wait, wait, is this really all there is? And he goes, what else ought there be? The Green Knight says, like,
Whoa, like,
you agreed to the game. This is the game.
yeah,
What the fuck else did you think I was gonna
what,
do?
like it,
You know?
if you don't got, yeah, like if you can't back yourself on your own word, if you're not even that honorable, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, sort of thing. And it's, I wonder, like, I guess with the Arthurian, like, legend sort of thing, like, is there a known story of this and then it went down a different route, or like, is, I guess, is there a common way that this story is usually told and we got a different version of it, or is this completely kind of its own take of it all,
I am not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that and I don't know if Sir Gawain existed prior to the expansion of Sir Gawain's story, or if
like, does the
Sir
Green
Gawain's
Knight
story.
character exist at all with
I don't
them?
know. I mean, like
Okay.
that is part of the poem. I don't know if that's part of like
Mm.
main
Mhm.
canon. It's so
Yeah.
awkward to talk about these
Yeah,
things
like,
in a
what's
not
on the
modern
what's on
modern
the,
context.
sacred timeline of the king,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
of the,
No,
Arthurian,
it's
yeah, mythology,
so
but
like this character does exist in Arthurian legend, but it's because of this story, and the way that this
mhm.
story has been
I
told,
guess
as far as I understand it.
I'm just
Um,
looking at it wrong. I shouldn't be thinking of it like an extended
well, and
universe,
and
so
here's the other thing is that like if the character didn't exist prior, it does now because that's the point of
yeah,
Arthurian
I
legend,
gotcha.
and that's
Mhm.
and there is an interesting thing where the story of Saint Winifred is not a part of the Gawain story. That is actually not. It's a different nobleman and a different story that does apply really well to Gawain, which is why it was
Mhm.
roped
Hmm,
in.
okay.
And I mean, it makes perfect sense to rope it in here because it's probably, the whole it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Mm.
Is
Yeah,
the
I guess
is the
that's
Saint Winifred interaction. Um,
I do have that
A
as one of my potentials. Yeah, that
I
is
mean, it's
one of
it's
them.
fucking good, man. And I think that whenever it's just all so inconsiderate of him, you know. He and like he tries to guise it as being considerate, he's like, "Sorry, I didn't know he was home. I'm gonna leave. It's all good." And she's like, "No, wait, he's like, "I don't know your father. Sorry, I'm gonna get out of here." And then, she asks for his help. She like floats towards him. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Mhm.
All that just continuous failure after failure after failure in terms of chivalry, like just absolutely bombing. And then whenever she's like, "I need your help," he's like, "What do I get in return?" She's like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Why the fuck would you ask
Yeah.
me that?"
I just told you
Um,
that a dude came here, he and like did all this shit to me, cut off my head, and then threw it in this stream, and you're
a
asking.
nobleman like you,
Mhm.
was that you? Maybe it was you.
Yeah.
Like that's what she says.
Mhm.
Like it might, and she's basically saying it might as well have been you. Like it
It
if you don't
was
help me here, if you
was it
don't like
Barry? Like it's what's his character in the scavenger?
scavenger.
Is that who? Because the axe is there in the um in her house. That like whenever,
Mm,
right? And
I don't take that to be literal. No.
so the axe, okay,
'Cause the
because
sash also reappears later.
mm,
That
okay,
was taken by the scavenger as well.
okay,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
so I
Where
tend to
does that
think that
reappear? Where's the sash reappear
the
at?
sash reappears during my favorite scene. The lady gives it to him. She says she created it. Um,
Okay, yeah, and he's like, "Where did you get?" That's right. Okay, that
yeah.
was weird. I didn't. Okay, so maybe it isn't a literal tracking of these items.
No, and
Yeah.
that confused me too, because like whenever he's like, because I missed the little flash cut to it sitting there. So then, like, there's like another scene where he's like walking with it, and I'm like, when the fuck did he get this thing back? And then I watched it a second time, and I was like, well, that doesn't really help. I was like, it's just fucking
Oh,
sitting there. Um, but
okay. Because I guess I thought, the scavenger takes the axe, he runs off. He's like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be the one to get glory, whatever. I'll take this story on, whatever. I guess is that the idea that he's like, I'll be the one to get my head cut off? Is that the idea?
I'll
Like,
I'll complete the quest. Like
but like the quest is to die. Isn't that known? Like, isn't
I
it?
don't think he knows that. No.
Oh, okay. I guess,
Strictly
but like
in
the whole
some.
story is like everyone knows, like in the bar that he goes to, it's like, oh my god, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is and he's like, how great of him to go to meet his death, basic. Like everyone
Yeah.
knows he's going to die, right? Because
I wasn't sure
he.
because he comes from a war, like the other side of the tracks, basically. Like his people are fighting against the noblemen and all that. So I'm not sure how in the loop he was, but regardless, I think that
Hmm.
it more than anything, I think it was just you know, when it comes to character motivations, it ultimately comes down to testing him,
Yeah.
and they tested him and he failed, and his failure resulted in that. The first little foreshadowing of it of what comes later in the movie, like if he were to give up here, if he were to not get off his ass,
Mm.
if he were to just lay down and die, he would lay down and die.
I liked that. I really did. Like, I don't know. It was visual, completely. It's like it's just what he's seen in his head. He's like, damn, yeah. If I don't do anything, this is what's gonna happen. And I also really liked whenever you're first introduced to the scavenger, he's like, well, yep, all dead, literally everyone, not even anyone to bury him. But the earth will swallow him up. He's like kind of talking like that, and like it'll do its thing, no problem. It's like the cycle, and like I feel like it was kind of the same thing. Like that's maybe what
Yeah.
was going through his head, was he was like, oh wow, like I'm alone here in the woods, no one is going to be here to help me. If I don't do anything, I will die, and I will just, no one will know it. This will be the end, sort of thing. And
Mhm.
and then that's what gets him to be like, fuck, no, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So like
Well, and that's the other thing that makes me go, how I don't think we can take much of it too literally either,
like that's what he is seeing, sort of thing, or like that's what is
well,
going
I
through
I
his
just mean,
mind.
like, in terms of the character, the scavenger and stuff, like, does he have motives of his own, or is his purpose to serve Gawain's narrative, and that's all he does? Is
Ah,
that what his existence is to test him, and then there's nothing beyond that, like,
it seems like it. Like
Mhm.
it kind of does seem like that. I would like to say
And I
that,
think that that's what I think that's why, the my favorite scene is, I called it the last temptation of Gawain, which is
Mhm.
whenever he is in the bed with the lady, played by 𝗂𝙍𝙀𝙀𝙃, who is also 𝘂𝐿,
Yeah, yeah.
which is another thing that leads me to believe that these people aren't real. He tells them that if you come back, we won't be here. If you, like, you come back this way, you won't see us. We won't be around, like, and he says, I have business to do. I have to go somewhere. But like, is that why you're going to be gone?
Mm.
So like, I think there's also something here that is a little ethereal. Like it's not
It's like
real.
the
It is.
manifestations of the lessons he's learning. Like
Mhm, exactly.
she is like lust, or
Hmm.
I guess what is there a fit like in Arthurian? Do they? I don't know if it's called
I
lust,
would.
or like
I
if
mean,
I
it's
don't
that's
know.
what she describes it as.
I
So
think
like, that's what I would take it to
because I
be.
feel like I feel like what is ringing a bell to me is like in Arthurian legend, like he beheaded him on a star, and like like a knight, like to be a knight. Like I remember like something about a star, like five things of the star, like the five something of a knight. I don't know, is like somewhat ringing a bell.
The
But
five tenets of knighthood.
maybe that's it.
The
Okay, yeah.
queen even mentions it at some point in this movie. Um, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's honor, chivalry, um, valor.
Oh, okay. Looks
Uh,
like there's a lot. Oh no. Okay. Okay, five here, and then a true. Okay, wow. Yeah. So courtesy. Yeah, and that's Winifred, I'd say, for
yep, completely
courtesy,
failing.
just failing that shit. Honesty. Um,
Lies to the lady about where he got the bell.
that's true. Yeah, like you know nothing of love. No, I don't. No, like we could definitely do this. Right now. I'm definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
liar.
Valor. Um, courage. I think maybe just the end.
Wait,
Maybe
wait.
just or just kind of the whole. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
everything. Honor. The first one. The I'd say.
yeah. I mean, like there's overlap in a
Over,
lot
yeah,
of.
and
Uh,
generosity is are the five. So I guess okay, wow. Okay, I really that's pretty sweet though.
Generosity doesn't give to Barry, doesn't
Yeah.
give to scavenger.
Mhm.
Honor beheads an unarmed man, lies to the
Asks
lady.
for something in
Uh,
return to like,
yes,
from
no
Winifred.
courtesy. So like,
Um
it's just he's completely failing at all of them except for his final one, which was courage, which is he finally achieves one of them at the very end. But
mm,
yeah, no, my favorite
wow.
scene is definitely that last interaction where she is giving him the sash, returning it to him,
Mhm.
uh, as she like fucks him basically.
I was wondering what actually went down there.
Couldn't really tell. I don't know. I don't know if we're talking handies or if we're talking real shit or
Yeah,
anything.
I don't know, but whatever happened,
Either way, he came.
yeah, dude
So
nutted. That was clear. That was on screen. I mean,
that was
that's
wasn't quite clear. You know what I'm saying? That's
it was
but
not clear. Yes, it was not clear, which made it very clear as to what happened. No, yeah, this was definitely the failure of what chastity was. I guess that wasn't even. I guess that's what I thought one of them was.
I mean, just it's a fail
yeah.
of all of it. It's not honorable. It's not courteous. This is the wife of the man whose home he's in. So like this, like there's nothing good about the action being taken. He is giving in to lust. He is giving in to his worst
Yeah.
impulses to allow this because even his initial impulse is like, we shouldn't. It's wrong.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on now. And he's like, okay,
Yeah,
like,
and then he
so
lies in
he
order to
knows
do it
what he's
too.
supposed, and that's the other layer, is that he knows what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what is right, and he continually chooses to do the selfish thing. And that's kind of what ends up fucking him in the end, But yeah, and it's just a beautiful scene. I loved 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙃. I love the cast in this movie. We've got a couple Oscar nominees and an Oscar winner in 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 there as 𝗂𝙁 and the lady. She won Best Supporting Actress about 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago for a role in I can't remember the movie, but I know she's won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar.
Okay.
Dev Patel getting a Best Supporting Actor nod, same year, I think, or close to it anyway. But
I didn't know
yeah, no,
she ended up being my favorite character of the movie. Actually, it was an interesting question that I had to ask myself. Because I'm like, is it the main character? And I'm like, well, I don't think so. He kind of fails a lot. Fails a lot of very important things and makes a lot of decisions that I definitely don't like. And I like the journey that he goes on. I like the story that's being told, but as far as the character goes, actually not. But then 𝗂𝙁, and the lady. So I guess I don't. I'm picking 𝗂𝙁 mainly. The non-lady version, I guess. But her performance was really good. Both ways. In both, characters she played. But I really liked 𝗂𝙁, and that my line came from her. Why is greatness, why greatness is goodness not enough, and then that's where like the true tragedy of the ending was for me, was seeing like what he did to her. I was like, whoa. I'm like, what? I'm like all this stuff was bad, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, dude, you're throwing like everything away. But but on the flip side of non-𝗂𝙁, the lady gives me my favorite scene of the movie, which is right after yours. And it is whenever they get into the question of why is the Green Knight green, the lady asks. And I don't know, I guess I wasn't thinking of it before, and then she was, giving all of these metaphors, and red is the color of lust, red is the color of kind of greed, all of the bad, and green is the after, the rot, but also the life. It's like death. I don't know. Green is very kind of encompassing. Almost, it's kind of like the cycle, I feel like, is what green sort of represents. But then red, I felt like it also paralleled with whatever the Lord, Uncle Owen,
yes, Joel Edgerton
was giving us here. The kind of how like on the outside world, the green, it's very chaotic. It's bad, it seems like, but it's just the way life is. It's just how it goes. And then every man should have a home. Every man should have a fire within that home. Very warm. The scene looks red itself. It's very warm as well. And I thought, like, I don't know, the visual imagery was playing very well. The performance of the lady and, the Lord going off, and then like what it meant for Garwin, it was just all playing like all at once, and I'm like, holy shit, this movie's incredible. Like it's kind of when I had that moment of like, holy fuck, like what a what a movie I'm watching. So
Mm.
that's why it got the scene nod from me. But
No, and it's
um,
worthy of that, man. That's it also lays to bear the very essence and thematic elements of the movie that become most important. I think that is the most important part of the movie is the time he spends at the Lord and Lady's
mm,
castle. I think that,
mm-hmm.
like, obviously all of it's important, the entire journey is, but I feel like that's when you really start to realize what the movie is and what it's
Yeah,
trying to
him
say and
getting
what
his
it's
like
about.
portrait,
Um
but picture taken. Like,
Mm,
he was
mhm.
in the camera. That was, like, and I've always wanted to do that with my window. Like you can you can do that with any room if you have a window. You just have to have a pinhole and then I don't know. I guess find the focal point to get the actual picture. That's a whole different thing. But just to get like the outside view into your room as like a projector, I've always wanted to do
Mhm.
that, and then, like, I saw this happening, I'm like, "Oh, is that what she's doing?" I'm like, "No fucking
Yeah.
way," and then, like, I thought, like, she was going to trace, I thought it was just gonna be, like, a projector and then, like, kind of trace it and still paint it herself, but then the fact that it was
Mhm.
just kind of like a picture, like, it was literally like a Polaroid sorta thing,
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I don't know, that was just a really cool scene,
No, yeah,
that they were in
I
there,
loved all the
but
stuff that happened there. I love that, the old lady with the blindfold,
yeah. Uh-huh.
eh, seemingly only he can see her.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
they're I mean,
And,
like
like, I guess it doesn't really make sense for her to be there. The only other person we see like that is his mother
this is
and the
yeah.
other, I guess, witches. Are they witch? I don't know. Is that, like, wrong to call them witches that are there? It felt like there were, like,
No, I don't think that I think that's
other
what they're doing,
yeah,
yeah.
like 3 other witches there. It felt like there were 4 total. She was the
Is that
main
not a part of
one.
this like, doesn't she ask him, "Do you believe in witchcraft?"
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
think oh,
and
okay,
he's like,
yeah. And
"Yeah."
he's like, "What?"
He's
Yeah,
like
he's
he
like,
well,
"Yeah."
he goes, "Yes, I believe it's all around us," like, because his
Mm,
mom's a fucking witch. He knows
okay.
that's the case.
And,
So,
so I guess I don't know, maybe
I
it's
mean
just like, this is him seeing her is the part that's interesting, if he were not to notice her either, then I think it's clear that it's just like, this is the mother checking in on whatever's going on. But the fact that he can, like, see her and he's the only one that is, like, being like, "Why the fuck is she here?"
acknowledging
Like,
her, yeah.
maybe the Lord and the lady, they do know that she's there, but they're so used to, it seems that he has some misogynistic, traits to him, the Lord. He's very,
Mhm.
pessimistic in some way, very, like, brute force. Every person should see a hawk kill a horse in their
Yeah.
lifetime. That's like, oh well, I don't. Maybe, I mean,
I don't really wanna
I don't know. But like, maybe I was thinking like this is his mom that they're just that she's, I don't know, needing help to be taken care of because she's so old, but then like forcing her to be blind, is a very
Mm.
it seems that there was like that they would be making her be blind. I don't know. It was very I don't know. I was very like I didn't know where to land on her at all.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I take it to be a presence that is, if not literally his mom, meant to represent his mom,
mhm.
you know? She's literally always there watching over him, always around the corner,
Okay.
kind of being there, um,
Hmm.
overseeing the ongoing test, and she's there
Yeah. That's true.
during the final test,
That's true.
watches the whole thing happen. So, like,
Mhm.
I think it's just kind of another layer of it. I think, uh, there's this really interesting thing when it comes to I've questioned the how literally we can take all the characters and if they're there, are they real? What's the deal? What's going on here? And I think that kind of culminates in relation to your why is the Green Knight green thing. Who is the Green Knight?
Mhm.
Winifred says Green Knight is somebody you know. And there's this really cool moment that I'm interested to know if it's noticeable on streaming or if the 4K really helped me, where the Green Knight's face changes. Did you see that?
Like whenever he wakes up, or like whenever he like is
It's
there.
very brief. It's in the night. It's in the night. Dev Patel's there.
I felt like there
He's
was a
looking at
sort
him, and
of.
his eyes open, and his face shifts several times. Like the creases of wood kind of dissipate. He becomes more clear,
Mm-hmm.
and he evolves from being 𝗂𝙍𝙀𝙀𝙃, the Lord, into the lady, into his mom, and finally into him. Is kind of what it looks like.
Oh, I didn't get that. Yeah, no. I
Yeah,
okay.
no, like,
Whoa, that's pretty cool. I saw kind of a change happening, but I guess I didn't
I mean,
see.
like, it's evolving. It's not, and I'm going with, maybe I'm projecting that onto the movie, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what I see. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, especially the final face is his. It is Dev Patel's. Like that is
Okay.
where that face ends. That is who he's looking at when it's looking back at him. So I kind of view the Green Knight to be sort of like they said in the movie. It will overcome all eventually. From dust we came, and to dust we will return. Type shit. Like that is
Yeah, I
that is
think
what the Green Knight represents.
the obvious answer would just be like it's his mom. It's something that his mom conjured up, and it's just a test, for to make him famous and give him what he needs to succeed if he makes the right decisions himself. But then, you know, at the end of the movie, it's more clear that it is kind of not himself, but I don't know, sort of a representative of just life itself, kind of. I don't like
Yeah, and
it's.
all that. There's this fascinating dichotomy of the red versus green, the natural versus the heightened virtue, like
Mhm.
the idealism versus realism is sort of how I look at it. And I think the Green Knight kind of represents all that is natural. Like natural state
Yeah.
is not the heightened noble virtuous like you do have to earn that. You do work towards that. It's not something, some people are born that way, but clearly Godwin was not, and I think that it represents something he's chasing. He quite literally spends the entire film trying to find him.
Mhm.
And I think that when he finally finds him, he becomes that virtuous, the courageous, like in it. It's fascinating to watch that sort of unfold. I don't, it's tough to really wrap your mind around all that the Green Knight kind of is, because like you said, it's kind of everything,
Yeah.
it
It's
is
every lesson wrapped into one sort of
Mhm.
thing, and the literal embodiment of it,
Yeah,
which is it's hard to
manifestation.
put all of that into one being. It's weird, and that's why it kind of has to be this unhuman thing. Like it would be weird if it was,
Just a guy.
yeah, just a guy. It wouldn't really make sense. But I think
Well, that's
like
why he appears ancient, and that's why he appears like he's
eh,
always been, and he always will be,
I got the idea
because
that like red was also like that's when you're alive, like that the blood
Mhm.
running through you. When he was like, you have to have walls and then a fire within those walls pumping, keeping the spirit alive. It kind of felt like he was like kind of describing a body as well, like the human
Mhm.
body. Like you need your body and your blood inside and your heart to keep that going and the fire going, sort of thing. And that's where the red, it's not always bad. It's not always like it's representing lust or the greed and,
No,
and
no, no,
only
no.
the bad, but it's like it's when you're not, I don't know, just when you're alive you're red, when you're not you're green. But like also green is life at the same time. It's, I don't know,
And
it is.
also Reddit, like, and that's why, like, my shit kind of like, I felt like I kind of collapsed in on myself with my argument earlier, because I think red also represents that certain, like, the heightened virtue, the idea of what being a
Mhm.
knight is like. That is what you vie for, that is what you want to be, but the inevitability of the green creeping in is always there. Like eventually it will overcome you, it
Yeah.
will take you down, it
I th-
will, like, you will return to the dirt.
I think
Um,
the literal imagery of him setting down his axe and life literally spreading from that, like I think is they're trying to say that like I think the spilling of blood, like you never want to see red. You know it's there, but you never want to see it outside of the walls. Like the
mm,
second that blood is spilled, like that's something bad has happened. I guess there's not really many ways in which blood is coming out of your body and that's a good thing.
yeah,
So I
no,
think I think maybe and that's why like even before he beheads him at the beginning, there's already blood, like blood splatters. There's all like he's seeing
mhm,
that. He knows that blood is going, like that's what he's thinking is blood has to be spilled, sort of thing. And I think that's the first initial wrong is that blood, like that's the last resort. That's the ultimate, like even a knight who is trained as a killing machine, like that they are known to be able to be, if someone's going to
warrior.
attack a knight, good luck to them, like you're
Mhm.
not going to win. But it's they have that power but only use it whenever it's necessary. I think is maybe where they're trying to get to or something, cuz
Mm,
it is a in the modern time, like obviously we're not in armor and fighting with swords and all these things
right.
anymore, but there's still that story to be told and of just what a knight represents and a good person, is
No,
is
yeah,
what
and
they're
I think
getting
that
to.
that's
But
oh, absolutely. I think that the why greatness is goodness not enough is kind of the heart of the story is that he's trying to achieve greatness the whole time when all he really needed to be was good. And with goodness came greatness,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Once you
It'll
achieve goodness, greatness comes naturally. But you need to be good in order for that to accompany it?
mhm.
And I think that the end whenever he's like, "Good. Now off with your head."
Mm.
Like that means that shit. Bro's gonna cut off his head. Like that's just how it goes.
He
But it's triumphant. It is
yeah,
it
he
is
said it in like kind of a joking manner. Like kind of like um I don't know. Like the
I took him to be proud. I didn't take it as a joke. I took it as like a
yeah,
you've made the right choice.
like
Now
this
off with your
is
head.
the point. Like
Yeah.
now you've gotten there. He
Mhm.
knows, like, because before it was every time he said wait, 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 it was in the most coward way possible, and he running away, everything, and the throwing of the sash. If they're all in on it together and they know what everything represents, and all. Hmm.
Yeah, because his mom and the
Yeah.
witches create the sash initially, and she tells him, when you're wearing this, no harm will befall you. When you are wearing this, everything will be okay. When you're wearing this, you'll make it home. I promise.
Ah.
Um, like at the very beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Okay.
so he decides to keep it on in that vision. He decides to go home. He lives a full life. His blood is not spilled,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
everyone else is. He dies
Yeah.
alone. He dies unhappy. His children die. His loved ones die. There's nobody left except for him in that throne room when his head collapses to the floor. And I think it's just kind of a example of you can live your life a coward and you can die sad and alone,
Hmm.
or you can live your life with courage and die here proud.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know. I think it's just the movie is so open ended that you can project just a whole lot into it because it is so ambiguous and open. But I loved just whenever we were in the forest and how they shot like it looked so big,
Dude,
like it looked
gorgeous.
huge, and I don't, like it was calm, like it was ancient, like I don't know, like that's always the idea I get whenever I see just like a forest in movie, or like I guess what I'm getting is like it will be here. It was here long before us. It'll be here long after. Like, and that's
Mhm.
even the scavenger is like, yep, no one here to bury, but the land will suck them in, and no one will even know. And it's just the way everything goes. It's just the cycle of life sort of thing, and like it's a weird thought, but like to think that we are the ones being farmed for like Earth on a grander
Right.
scale. It's weird to think about, but kind of, like at
Oh yeah, I see the
like
vision.
like oil, what runs our world was dinosaurs millions and millions of years ago that have just decomposed for that long. So like eventually we will be that, like it's just resources for a later day. But right now we are alive and conscious. Maybe that's what red. I don't know. Whenever you're like your own you green is it the earth, everything, but red is whenever it comes together to form like your life, whenever you're alive in that moment, because everything in my body right now was on the earth before I was here, and everything will be on the earth whenever maybe I'd like to die on earth, ideally, but who
Yeah.
knows, and what we
Who
got
knows
going
where
on
we're
in the
going?
future. But
Yeah.
everyone else before me has lived and died on earth,
Hmm.
so I
For
I
the
don't
most
know.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, some astronauts out
Almost
there,
almost entirely.
some dogs,
Almost
yeah, some animals that are out there, I guess, that we sent never got back.
99.9999% all living creatures ever
Yeah,
lived and died on.
that's a tough club to get into,
That is. Maybe
but
it's an honor.
I don't know. It's a lot of just animals that had
It's
no idea what they were doing. They just got strapped in a rocket and never came home. But
yeah,
uh,
poor guys.
space
Yeah.
race. But um,
This
no,
fox would have known what was going on. That's my favorite character.
I saw that. And I opened up the sheet a little. Like I forgot when I opened it up, but it was to put. Oh no, it was the line. That's whenever I would have first opened it up, was the greatness line. And then I looked over and I saw Fox, and I'm like, I'm like, interesting selection. He's popped up like one time so far, I think, and I'm like, I wonder what could make him the most interesting character in the movie. And so it was. I don't know. I had a keen eye on the fox for the rest of the movie
Mhm.
because of that,
I just
and
I
I
liked
liked
his
it.
presence. I liked
Hmm.
the fox's presence. It was cute, it was down to ride. It presented, like, one last little, challenge for Gawain before he faced the Green Knight. I think
Hmm.
that it was the fox's job to give him one last out, you
Yeah.
know? "You can turn back. You can go. It's alright."
Hmm.
Everything will be okay. If anyone knew what you were about to face, they would gladly turn around and run away. Like it's telling him, don't be courageous.
Yeah. Well,
Go. Get the fuck
hey,
out of here, dude.
hey,
Um,
that is an option you have, and
which is
yeah.
another reason I think that it's also his mom is what I kind of take the fox to be, you know.
Hmm.
I kind
Oh
of
yeah.
it it's kind of the mom realizing that he has failed. He has or that like the path he's gone down, there is only one solution. There is nothing else he's heading towards besides death. And she selfishly acts in a way that he would have and tells him, turn around, go home,
Hmm.
please.
Yeah.
And
The
it
first
doesn't go
interaction
away.
he has with the foxes, he throws a rock at it. It's
Mhm.
like, "Hey, go away. Hey, get away." And then like it's like, "Okay, fine.
Comes around the corner.
I
Peace.
guess if you want to come in, whatever." And it's like maybe that's a failure right there, just like
Mhm.
nature, like a fox. Like if I saw a fox, like I guess they can be mean, They could do
Oh
some
yeah.
damage, but I don't know if I'm going to be immediately like, "Hey, get the fuck away
Get
from
the
me."
fuck out of here.
Yeah, I don't think that's my initial reaction.
Yeah.
If like a lion or like a cheetah, I think I just respect them enough to like I'm not that's not like get the fuck away from me.
I
I
don't
am
look at
getting
you,
the
you
fuck
don't look at
Yeah,
me.
I'm getting the fuck away from them, That's
Yeah.
but I don't know. There is a lot of just little failures he has too that it was like he couldn't be the favorite character. Like he is the performance. Like Dev, I mean,
Oh
oh my
yeah.
god. Like
No doubt.
I don't think that's within debate. Um and
Like there are good performances. There's a lot of great
Mhm.
performances in this movie, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate obviously Alicia Vikander and both the lady and Essel's role. She does a
Mhm.
fantastic job. Joel Edgerton, not a lot of screen time, but what he does as the
Yeah.
Lord is
I
really,
liked
really good.
him. I really liked
Uh,
him. I like if we were doing a little mini like awards, or whatever, I think like a supporting nod for him out of like
Oh
as far as
yeah,
supporting actors go for this movie, like he was really strong in his
yeah.
role that he
I mean,
had.
I loved the gentleman who played King Arthur as well, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm a big fan of Lysa Arryn. But
Mhm.
you'll whenever you decide to dive deeper into the Mission Impossible franchise, you'll actually come to know
Hmm.
Sean Harris, the gentleman who plays King Arthur, as one of the most harrowing villains in Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Very, very good in those movies.
Hmm.
I believe it's Fallout, and I mean I think he's in a couple. I think it's Rogue Nation and Fallout. He's in both of them.
Wow.
Really
Would
good
not have
actor.
got that vibe from him here. That's for
Oh yeah,
sure.
he's an ominous motherfucker in those movies. Plays like Solomon something.
Solomon.
Yeah,
Okay.
Solomon Lane.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, here just kind of a dying king is what it looks like,
mm,
just on his way out. Dude, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was like,
yeah, right.
"Deuces, here's my sword. You're knighted. I'm out of here." And it's kind of why I thought like it literally was like a conjure, like a sort of like he has served his purpose as well, for um well, I guess
I
and
like that.
that's the wait, does that actually happen? No, that's in the
That's part
future.
of the vision.
Yeah, part of the
Yeah.
vision. So that doesn't actually happen. I get duh. Okay, hello. I was thinking that for some reason this actually is
Yeah, there's
happening, but
some brilliant
um
visual choices in that part of the um that vision part of the movie where he's been a passenger. He's not the driver and he's watching all of the stuff happen, like the camera
mhm.
always makes a point to show Dev Patel's face like watch as it
Mm.
transitions into something else and watch as it transitions into something new. And that final camera turn mirrors the one we saw earlier with the scavenger whenever we see his skeleton on the ground when it pans all the way around the woods and circles back
Mhm.
around to him. It circles all the way around
Yeah.
the room and shows his head fall off.
Yeah, and the
Which
little play carts that are like
mm,
being shown to the children, like they had that little to show the season changing or
mhm.
whatever, little circle thing and spreading the story of him, like that like he was supposed to be a very well-known hero
That was
throughout
also
the
a funny
world
part
and
for me too, is I was kind of like, what the fuck did he do that was worthy of being story worthy at the beginning? I was like, yeah, he
I
killed a
th-
giant
I think it's
fucking guy. Just another one part of the challenge,
just because
part of the
you
game.
accepted death, maybe. Like
Mm,
maybe like it's wrong that he beheaded him, but I think it's like, damn, you literally know you're about to die in a year.
mm.
This guy has a year left to live. He's about to go get his head chopped off. I don't know. Is that the idea? Like, do like he says, remember this day. Remember what has happened to everybody. Like I have chopped off the head. I am deciding to do this. This is my choice. I know what you know. Seemingly, I know what happens to me in a year. Uh, so I don't know. Maybe it's just
I
like,
think that's
damn.
the announcement he's proclaiming, but I don't think he does know that, you know?
But that's what the people think that he thinks. He was stupid enough to not actually know what the challenge was because he's like, "Do you understand the game?" And he's like, "Think so."
I think so.
I think he was
Yeah.
just not actually aware. But everyone else, that's why they cheer. Is they're like, "Damn, you made the sacrifice, so none of us had to," sort of thing. Like one of us would have had to step up for the king, because that's the right thing to do. But you're the one to do it and take the fall for us. But that's the thing is that he shouldn't have had to take the fall in the first, he failed the test,
Yeah.
the game he failed, but I think maybe that's the people's version of it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it must be. Uh, that would make sense. But yeah, man, I don't know. I loved them. I thought it was absolutely riveting. One that I didn't anticipate loving as much as I did, and
Yeah, no. Yep.
Man, I'm
I don't
there.
know.
I absolutely adored it. I'm
Like,
so glad
I've seen
I
it
have.
twice, and I think I'm probably gonna have to watch it again, like, soon, like, I
Relatively
don't
soon.
yeah, like, it's crazy, and not I don't wanna, like I kinda came in saying, like, this is just the best Dev movie there is. David Copperfield was awesome. I loved that movie too, and I will return to
Mhm.
that one soon as well. This one just kinda shook the game up a little bit
Yeah.
more.
This one's better. I think Copperfield's more fun, it's more lovable.
Mhm. Mr.
It's a different
Dick, you
kind of
know,
enjoyment
yeah,
you're
there's
getting. Yeah.
it's yeah,
Um,
that's more comfort. This
I didn't
is
cry I didn't cry with The Green Knight, which
yeah.
is rare, as
Mm-mm.
far as movies I love. I usually cry at some point. I could tell that my mind felt like I wanted to whenever it cuts back to him and he's like, "All right, off with your head." But instead, I, just smile, like, really, really big. Like,
Yeah.
that's what happened when they cut to The Green Knight, like, the final title card, The
Mhm.
Green Knight, and they just sit with it. It just makes me smile real
Mm.
big, and
Yeah,
that's just kind of it.
I don't
Um
think there was even really, like, a tear up moment. Like,
Mhm.
um, maybe
Which I think
when
speaks volumes to how well done of a movie it is
yeah,
to be able to love it.
Winifred? Is that it? Winifred?
Mhm.
Whenever he puts her head, like, back on and, like, the light shines through and it's kind of like a I don't know. It wasn't like, I didn't tear up, but it was kind of like a final rest, sort of at peace. Sort of felt like that was like a nice-ish moment. The music was
Yeah,
really
but it didn't.
nice, but no tear. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like any tearful moment. I don't think there was any. Like that's
No,
the
yeah, 'cause
most
the
emotional
moment
moment
that
I
would
could
have
think
been
of.
tearful, they're breezing through. They're letting it like, 'cause that's the point,
And a lot of the
if you watch.
tragedy, like I guess, of his future, it wasn't like tears. It was just like I was like I was just, like,
Damn.
in shock, like, especially the
Yeah.
first time because I thought this was actually happening, and I'm like,
Yeah, I did too.
"No." I'm like, "No. This is so bad," but, oh, no, this was
Good.
I don't
Now
know,
off
and
with you.
in all like, in my I don't know, this one's up there. Like, this was just cool. It's unique too. There's I mean, I don't it
Yeah, I've
looks
certainly never watched another movie like it. Yeah.
I don't know of anything that compares to it.
Yeah, very, very singular, but, does that mean we're ready for a rating? You think we're there?
I think we are. Yeah.
All right.
I
Before
think
we get to
we're
that,
there.
if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom where you can find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. And $3 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening and continue to download. That's a huge help. I would love it. But yeah. How are we feeling? I mean, like, it's my favorite and it's the best.
I mean, I just checked my top 100 list movies, and I haven't updated it with like a lot of newer ones, but it's like in the 20s, or like maybe the 30s, but 20s is looking right. So, um, we gave Copperfield a 925 enjoyment. That one just has a lot of literal fun, and so I don't know how much that
Also makes
weighs.
me cry a lot. That
Yeah.
movie made me cry
So
a
I
lot.
like, and this is just like we said we didn't
It's a
cry.
different kind of enjoyment.
So
It's an
yeah.
awe almost, just kind of being
Yeah.
like, "Holy shit, like,
Yeah.
this is incredibly well done." Yeah, I started creating a second top 100 list of my
Mhm.
other for an eventual project down the line, and it landed, I haven't completely formatted it, but it landed in the tens on that one. So if it landed in the tens on that one, and I already have a top 100 list, I would guess it would probably end up about 20s, 30s, 40s. I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's there. So like I I think I enjoy it more than
oh
Copperfield.
yeah, I like
Like
more than
it's
Copperfield. I'm
so like
comfortable with that.
and I don't
My
is it
score
a
is 9.5.
yeah. I think I guess there is some hesitation, I there it's not I don't know why it's not a 10. it's like I kind of feel like it is almost though for some reason, but like I think like 975 would be, I'm either 95 or 975. I guess is where I'm saying.
I'm cool with the 975.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the story
I don't know. I did
keeps
rip it
you.
right off again. I did like
No,
I
yeah, I mean, I did too. It's the movies I watched back to back. I did the same thing with The Killer though. Um,
okay.
and it's because it's magnetic. For me, it's magnetic. It's
Mm,
not necessarily like I do love the movie, but it's not a lovable movie. It's not one that I'm going to
yeah.
return to because I'm just like, oh god, this makes me feel great. You know, it doesn't.
Mhm.
It spends a large portion of the runtime just kind of interested, fascinated. I don't know that I would necessarily label it a great time. And I mean, it is, and again, it's a good time, but it is because of that curiosity, because it
Mm,
is striking at the heart of a lot of human stories without being incredibly human itself. And I think that that's a really tough line to toe. Um, I think it does a really good job at it, but I do think that there is just a little emotionality missing for me to be able to put it at 10. Um,
yeah. Yeah, there'd have to be, I don't know. I don't know what to change because I
it
like
lacks.
how what it had, but
Nah, it's just not that kind of movie, you know. Like
yeah.
it's just not that kind of movie. There's not. I don't know where that would have placed. I don't know how you'd fix that. I don't think it is a thing to fix. You know, it's just how I feel about it in terms of my enjoyment of it.
Have
If I'm
you?
putting it at a 10, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It moved me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. A
I'm
10.
never moved
Yeah.
by this.
And there's no hesitation with a 10.
Yeah.
If it's a 10, you just know.
Mhm.
Um and and I don't know, maybe have you ever seen any other Arthurian uh
It's been a
movies?
long time because they're not typically this dark and advanced and gritty. Like this is a fucking dark Arthurian legend. Like
Like
Excalibur,
is okay. I've never seen that, but okay, that makes sense. Excalibur.
and that's more of a children. Like I
Um
mean, it's not a children's.
like the Holy
It
Grail,
is.
like "'Tis but a Scratch," is that Arthurian or is that just they? I don't even know if I don't even know if it's like that at all. What movie
Yeah,
is it? Something in the Holy Grail? I don't
the
know.
Sword and the Stone.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, like that's an animated Disney film. You know, like it's this is definitely in a league of its own, even when it comes to Arthurian film
Mhm.
adaptations. Um,
Man. And then
because even the poem
that's what I want to understand, that when was that poem written?
hundreds of years ago, long time ago.
Hmm. Just by whoever. Like they specifically wanted to be anonymous, sort of thing. Or it's like
Yeah,
it's just not known. Um I guess anonymous sort of leads me to believe the creator wanted to remain anonymous, because if it was just unknown, I feel like it would be unknown. Like they wouldn't say anonymous, it would be unknown. Anonymous usually means the creator or the original wanted to be that way. But
yeah, it was written in the second half of the 14th century.
okay. Yeah, so quite a long time ago.
Yeah,
Um wow. Um
yeah, like
just a poem?
1300s.
How wait, this is a single poem? Like
Pretty expansive poem, I imagine.
how long can poems get? Like the
Poems can be
poems,
pretty lengthy.
like a page though is like what I'm used, like they can fit on a page.
Oh no, I mean like
Cuz when does a
it's
poem
100. It's 101 stanzas. 2,530 lines.
okay,
So it's several pages.
not a book. I was expecting maybe like it's actually long enough to be like legit a book, but that's like if you were to put that in a normal sized book, I mean that'd be like 50 pages maybe. Maybe?
Yeah,
Maybe. That might even be overshooting it a lot. Um could be like 10 pages. Um but even that's like all of this story is in that poem? Or like I guess it's probably just like the big beats, you know. He went to learn generosity and failed miserably. He went to learn this lesson, failed miserably.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess it's not a 2-hour movie where they have a lot of time to breathe, but I don't know. I don't know. Now that I'm kind of in the Arthurian game, I don't know. I'm very interested. I'm very intrigued to learn more.
No, I am too.
But
Okay. The print length is 190 pages.
okay. So actually long.
So
I
it's a
was
book.
not overshooting it. Okay.
Well, and it's also due to the formatting. You know, if you do have a standard line by line,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like lines are short in a poem,
It's
or they
true.
could be longer, but it's very
This
structure is extremely
structure,
important to
yeah.
poetry. So
Not necessarily
it's
length is what defines it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's a
the okay.
different sort of thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, I mean 975, I'm comfortable with that. It's one I mean, like it was instantly one of my favorites ever, but I can't put it on the level of my favorites ever,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
One of my favorites ever, yes. My favorites ever, I don't know.
Man.
Um,
Yeah, he's hit the curve. The curve looks really good. The enjoyment curve from last Airbender, yeah,
yeah,
looks really really good.
I imagine so. I mean, quality-wise, it's not far off from being that level either. It's a fantastic movie. I mean, uh,
we gave
what do we
Copperfield
give
an
Copperfield?
8. Um,
Oh, this
and
is a minimum of 9. Yeah.
dude,
Like,
visually
it's a good fucking movie.
alone, like holy I mean, I was just really taken back. And
No,
then
yeah,
just
I mean
the use of visuals, like like the visual language was huge in the movie.
mhm,
Meaningful, like the written well, like every character was very very important for the story. Almost literally, that was their purpose, you know, like, and it
mhm,
made it just write itself very well. So like, yeah, I
mhm.
mean, I'm thinking 9 is pretty fair. Like I don't know. I
I mean,
guess
I think 9 is almost fair as a floor.
yeah,
Like,
that's
it's,
Darjeeling Limited is a 9. Um 925, that's Fantastic Mr. Fox, little fox there. Moonrise Kingdom, another 925. French Dispatch is a 9. Asteroid City a 925. Uh The Prestige and Dunkirk are 9s, and Tenet is a 9.
mm. Yeah, I mean, like, it's either a 9 or a 925 then. I don't think I can go north of that, because
Mhm.
it has the grandiosity and its visual flair is astounding. I'm, it had a little bit of the modern lighting syndrome, at points that I didn't love. There were parts that were at night that were beautiful and beautifully lit, which
Mm.
kinda made me question why, there were other parts that weren't.
I think it's we saw real lighting and then we saw set lighting is like
Mhm,
it whenever it was VFX versus practical. And that's
yeah,
you just can't emulate real light, you know. It's just I don't know. That's too difficult. Like especially whenever you have shots of light coming through like a stained window or like a window with
mhm.
a lot of bars and it looks just beautiful. Like you just can't emulate that with
Well,
like
and
VFX and but
to go even further, you know, like I think the movie's extremely well lit at most points. There's just a couple points like when they're out on the water
mhm.
with Winifred, like when he's about to dive into the ocean. Beautifully lit scene, you know.
Mhm.
When he's eating the mushrooms, you can hardly see it. You
Yeah,
don't
in
know
the
you don't
cave.
really know it,
Yeah, and that was a
you
weird
know.
like throwing it
Um
to the fox. Like I don't know, it was
mm,
like kind of a the only time where I'm like that was done just a little straight. Like everything else is done beautifully and with like
yeah, it was odd, and
precision and things. Yeah, that was a part that
I
did
think it was
stand
just
out.
to point out how hungry he is, his survival, how difficult the journey's becoming, etcetera, you know, like, I think I get it, it's part of the journey, but, yeah, it was just, one of those things where I was, like, visually not as acute and then it transitions during that scene into something that's visually fucking beautiful when he hit
Bro,
when he,
the
yeah,
blood or like the smear on his hand that turned into the green and then like he wiped it off. I was like, whoa, I've never gone
And then
there
he
in my
trips
life
out
yet.
and
Yeah.
sees the Green Knight as a tree and in the
Whoa.
distance,
That
lightning strike.
was
Yeah, like
that was
so.
pretty
I mean,
cool.
it's visually brilliant. It's really well performed. I love the ambiguity it's written with, and I
Mhm.
think it works to its favor. Um, I think I'd be cool giving it the 2.5 bump to a
Okay.
9.25. I think I'd be cool with that.
Okay. That would shake it out to a 9.42, which IMDb, I guess, hates this at a 6.6, is what they're giving it, which
No, this is definitely a polarizing one. It either works for you or it doesn't. I
mhm.
had my letterboxed mutuals. It was fascinating to see the mix going on there. Mostly high,
Hmm.
you know, 4, 4.5, 5, a couple twos. And I read their reviews and they were like, what the fuck even was this? What did I just watch? You know? And like I think that it has a little bit of that
You
Wes Anderson syndrome where it's just not going to connect with some
you
people. Like
got like
there's
you're forced to look deeper into this movie. Like you have
Mhm.
to. It's a lot of people in English class or whatever, it's like the wall is red, and it's like, oh well, why is the wall red? Well, the wall is red because it represents blah blah blah. And it's like, no, actually in this case the wall's just fucking red. Like some people, I don't know, like I think just want like enjoy simpler stories, not because they're simpler people. It's just I don't know, that is just
Yeah, yeah,
it is
sometimes that
nicer.
is
It is just nice to have a movie
Mhm.
that you don't have to really do a lot of work yourself. But
Mhm.
but
No, I mean,
then
like, this movie
yeah,
requires thought.
you got to
Like,
be
you
into it. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
you got to put the time. So I guess
And it's
maybe
magnetic, man. That's another thing I didn't mention is that, like, the first viewing, it was I mean, like, it felt like 2 hours and 10 minutes. Like, it felt its length
mhm.
the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, it was a fucking breeze.
That's true.
And
Yeah, I
it's
was
because the first time I'm trying to figure out
yeah,
what's
it
happening.
was
I'm like,
taxing. Like just
you
kind
know,
of
like, you
taxing
are
on your brain.
thinking,
Yeah, it was
uh
a workout almost. And then
and the second time, I'm mostly because I had a gap between my viewings of a
mhm.
few hours, but a few hours to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I ended up watching it a second time because I
Mhm.
couldn't stop thinking about it. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, I tried to turn on something else. I watched the first like tits of something else. Then we started going back and forth when you started your viewing, and I was like, "This, I'm
Uh,
going to watch The Green
yep.
Knight again."
Mhm.
Um,
It's back on. Yeah. It I don't know. I guess I don't have anything to watch until Bad Batch. Um I don't know. Maybe 3 times in one day might be a little much, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I that's
we'll have a little conversation about what our plans for tomorrow are after we sign off here, but,
mm,
yeah, at a 94%, that's rocking it there, The Green Knight.
94.
Far and away, I got to imagine the
Boom
highest rating
boom.
we've given a movie in 2024, um, besides maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, and even that, you know,
Oh yeah, I
quality-wise, I don't think we
guess
put on the same level.
yeah, it would only be a comic book movie, right? It would have to be a comic book movie.
Yes, yes.
Then yeah, it's gonna be tough. Nope, nope, nope. Guardians of the Galaxy was a 9 flat,
Yeah,
and yeah, that's the highest it got since
okay.
Dark Knight, probably. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. No, and I mean, so definitely the best movie we've watched this year
mhm,
on the podcast,
yeah,
far and away by a safe margin, it sounds like. Um,
mhm, oh
but
yeah,
yeah, no, I can't wait to catch Monkey Man in theaters this weekend, baby. We will be back next Wednesday to cover Monkey Man, written, directed, and starring Dev Patel.
let's
I am
go.
so very excited. I'm so glad we ended up going with Dev Patel as our first actor spotlight. I feel like it's paying off huge for us. Makes me feel very happy to be covering his movies and feel like I like him more than I ever have. So I'm so very excited. In the meantime, we will be covering the Bad Batch this Friday. Very excited for that, as this week brings us season 3, episode 10 and 11, right?
10 and
Is it
11,
the
the
double?
double. Oh yeah,
Yes, we got the double episode this Friday. We are continuing our Game of Thrones rewatch podcast. Winter is Blooming on Mondays, and that's it's very nearly,
mhm.
very
Episode
nearly
5.
reaching its end.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
this Monday.
it's not a good one. So
Mm-mm.
got that to look forward to.
Mhm.
But within the next couple weeks, we are also going to be starting John Wick. After Monkey Man, after the action excitement, we're going to be committing to an action project, and we are going to begin with the John Wick franchise, John Wick 1 through 4, and that's how we'll round out the year on Mondays or round out the month on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I'm so very excited. But yeah, keep coming back and go see Monkey Man this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and come back and listen to us talk about it. But yeah, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Dev Patel.